If you've seen my channel before, you're undoubtedly familiar with this, the Lazer3D LZ7, one of my favorite ultra compact cases of all time. Since I reviewed it late last year, I've been using it as my daily PC. This is around a 7-liter case, but you can fit a ton of powerful components in here and it cools them all very well while being flexible in terms of customizing each panel and each corner. You can go crazy with the color options. It's really a unique offering. And thankfully, for people who want to put more power into their ultra compact case, there's now the LZ7 XTD, a longer, not taller, but longer version that can take full-length graphics cards and obviously taller CPU coolers. So today, we're going to take a look at this. At first glance, you may look at the new XTD model and think, oh, that's just a longer LZ7. But luckily, there are both internal and external upgrades this year. One obviously being the length, which is now 290 millimeters. That allows you to fit up to 278 millimeter graphics cards. That's going to be most of your full-length dual fan GPUs. So that's really, really good. You may even be able to fit some smaller tri-fan designs as well. Obviously the cases are the same width and height other than that, so visually they look very similar, and the design pattern and vent pattern on all the panels are also the same as a smaller model. When you slide around back, you can start to see the first major internal difference. Where there used to be a cutout here for an SFX power supply, you now just see a single 3-pin plug. That is because the position of the power supply has been changed from hanging over the motherboard to being in its own slot up front next to where your hard drive bracket would be if you were going to use one. That is very important because it allows you to go from 70 millimeter coolers to 135 millimeter coolers, essentially doubling the height of the coolers that you can use in this model. The right side is essentially unchanged with the same 120 or 140 millimeter fan slot, as well as your power switch. Now, this case looks very nice, but one of the best things about the LZ7 and now the XTD was how customizable it was. And I have actually a few of the panels on hand that you can configure your case with, so let's take a look at those now. If you like customization, this is definitely the case for you. Head over to the configurator and you'll see immediately that there are quite a few options. For the base panel color, you can go with white, black, gray, or also a wood finish. And each individual panel can be customized to whatever color you want. So you could do like one different color on each side, whatever you want. And then for the corner pieces, the connectors here that you see, these little matte black pieces, there's also a rainbow of colors that you can choose from. So yellow, red, blue, green, all the colors that you could really think of, in addition to obviously the matte black here. So you can really make a case that's super unique and fits the color scheme that you want it to. Here's the box that my parts came in. I don't know if this is necessarily the retail box or not, but I'm guessing it's gonna be something very similar to this when you get yours. So nothing super exciting there, but they did send over some additional panels so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. In addition to the vent pattern here, you have the just regular vents. There's also this panel that has only vents on the one side, and if you don't need the additional ventilation there, so it matches the front vent layout of that panel there. So that's nice. We also have this kind of see-through. So we have the gray with the black shiny see-through. So if you could put some RGB LEDs or had a CPU cooler that had RGBs on it, you could see through the case, and that is really awesome. This also extends to the sides. So it's not just the top. You can do something really unique with that. That's great. And then there's also the fully clear acrylic version of the same thing. So we have white frosted here with the fully clear acrylic, so you can see everything in the case. You can do some cool custom builds, especially if you wanted to do some custom wiring. That would be really fantastic here. And then just some additional front panels. I'm really excited to test out the white, so you can do like a Stormtrooper build, that'd be sick here. And obviously we talked about the side panels having that see-through aspect as well. So there's a ton of options that you can kind of go through. You can really make it your own. It's very special. But wait, there's one more thing that's new this time around, and I was not expecting this, but I'm glad it exists. Hiding behind the case here, we have this, which is now a stand so that you can mount the case in even more ways. So it has feet on the bottom, obviously. These are removable, you can just unscrew them, very simple. But this stand allows you to either mount it, you can mount it vertically like this now, and have it sit on the desk. There's pass-throughs for the cables, or you can mount it on its side, stand it that way, or have it standing straight that way. If you want to increase airflow on both sides, maintain the airflow while also having it in kind of a vertical on desk position, or you can do the regular position there, and obviously that's not a problem either. But it just gives you additional flexibility that we didn't have before. Something so simple is very valuable and very cool. Obviously this is optional. It's only about 20 bucks. If you want it, I would pick it up just because it gives you, like I said, flexibility to do whatever you really want and fit the case in pretty much any situation. But why don't we take off these gray and black panels, since I've pretty much been dealing with that since I got this case, and swap out, let's go with the white, since I've never built in a white case before, and let's just see how that looks. All right, so about 8 screws later, you can see we have a completely different looking case. I only took off the front and top panel here. You could obviously do way more crazy things, but we've got like a see-through up top there with the white and black Stormtrooper going on. That's very cool, and it just makes me excited for the type of options that you guys are going to build when some of you I know get this case. Before we slide into the actual build, I just wanted to touch on pricing really quickly. So you head over to the overclockers.uk site. They have a full configurator, as we've looked at a little bit before, but there are 2 options that you have available to you. One, if you already have an LZ7 and you just want to upgrade it to a larger case, there is a kit for that, and that runs around $82 US. So that's really, really great. It's great that they included that. They really didn't have to, but if you have the case already like me or someone else, you can go ahead and just grab that kit, make your case a little bit bigger, and keep it rolling. Now, if you don't, you want something brand new, you need the new full XTD, that's gonna run around 209, 210 US, give or take. So it's not a super cheap case. It never was. Obviously, this is a laser cut case. It's pretty expensive. There are limited runs, small Mini-ITX cases. They tend to just be more expensive. That's how it is. That's how it's always going to be. So around 200 bucks, give or take, or 80 for the expansion kit. Okay, so I got everything out of my original LZ7. I got the top off of the XTD. We're going to be replacing a few of the components for this build. We have a 2070 Super from EVGA. This should give us a little more power and also run a little cooler because it has 2 fans there. And we also have a Noctua NH-U9S. So this is a nice cooler, more heat pipes, more fins, more surface area. It should run cooler for the CPU there as well. On this side, what we're keeping is the SF600 here. We're gonna hold on to the fan here, which is a cryo-rig 140 millimeter slim fan. So you can use 140 millimeter or 120 millimeter fans that are mounting points for both, but it has to be slim 15 millimeters or less. So that really limits the kind of fans that you can use, but this is a good one that I found that works very well. We also have our dual 1 terabyte SATA drives there, so for storage and such. And then I'm gonna keep the same board and CPU just so we can test the temperatures. The old one had the L12S cooler, a great cooler, but we're gonna see if we can get even better temps there with the new one. So we'll check that out. I'm running an 8700K in there and 2 Samsung 970 EVOs. Let's get everything unbuttoned here and then get the build rolling. Oh, before we start, one thing I did notice, which was cool. This is the original grill that you get for your fan. Here's the new grill. On the old one, you can see the circle that kind of blocks out the little center barrel there is a little bit smaller. So what would happen was, when the fan was in here, when you can kind of see it there, and you put that on there, you could still see a little bit of the coloring around there. So if you have like a Noctua fan or something like that, that's not all black or whatever, it's going to show through. From the new one, obviously, it covers it up pretty well. So that's cool. Nice little touch there. I thought that was just a cool little touch. What else do we have here? Also, there is a little card here that lets you know what every connector is on the power switch, which is very helpful, and where it should go. That's nice. And then you also get a little baggie with all your screws and mounting hardware there. So that's nice little touch. So you have everything that you should need to go. All you really need to build in this case is a screwdriver. That's it. And then you should be ready to go. So let's go ahead, grab my screwdriver and get started. All right, so we have everything assembled. I think it looks pretty nice, all things considered. You could definitely benefit from custom cabling, but what ITX case wouldn't? Does seem to be ample room for airflow. So we see we have a nice channel here. We have a cold air coming in there. We have the power supply fan on this side and also the CPU. So that'll be going in and then out through this part. This will be going in and out through the back exhaust there. So it should be very nice and very cool is what I'm guessing. I did use a combination of my custom cables from the LZ7 and also the stock cables here. If you only have the stock cables for your SFX PSU, it's probably going to be a little bit more jumbled in there, but it's not going to be too bad. I didn't have too much of a problem. I'd say overall, the LZ7 is probably slightly easier to build in simply because there's no hard drive mounting bracket, but that's super simple. This is very cleverly designed. It both hooks into the side of the case, the bottom, and then also the top panel to provide maximum support for this power supply. Not that it's super heavy or anything, but depending on what configuration you go in, vertical, horizontal, they should all be supported by this bracket. So overall, I think it looks really good, especially if I get fully custom cables. I can make it look even nicer and tighter, but this is screaming for RGBs or something there to be shown through the top, but we're gonna stick with the stock build right now. Let's actually turn it on and see if it works. So the case looks great, but how does it actually compare to the original model? Let's take a look at the temps. Obviously, as you expected, this just stomps the original LZ7. There's just a lot more room for cooling in here. There's really nothing that can be said other than that. There's no surprises here, but it's great to see that it actually does perform. The CPU and GPU were both cooler, and there's gonna be a lot more headroom for more powerful components there. Now, as for noise, let's take a listen here to how the case performs when at full load, then gaming and idle. One of the best things about this case is all the ventilation. There's so much place for air to get in and get out. It really is one of the quieter cases that you'll find, especially when running compact components. Now, if you want to see additional benchmarks, testing, and comparison to the original LZ7, check out the full article on the website. I've spent a lot of time with the original LZ7, obviously using it pretty much every day. And I must say that after using this, building in it, using it daily, just going through the day-to-day that you would normally with the PC, I love this case as well, and I honestly think I like it even more than the original. I mean, just having the ability to have full-length graphics cards, running your system even quieter, you can put more powerful CPUs and cool them well and more quietly than you can in the LZ7 as well. So I mean, it's really just a great case. Unless you need the ultra compact system or you're just looking for that super ultra compact system, I really almost think this is just a flat out better option. You can just do more. Or you could also obviously go with the original LZ7 and get an upgrade kit and go back and forth, have the best of both worlds and do whatever you want to do there. But overall, I think this is a truly compelling package that really isn't matched by anything else currently on the market. So if you can afford it, if you can afford this case, I highly recommend it. You won't be sorry. It's really something special. I know it's not cheap. I know. I'm gonna hear it in the comments, of course, once again, just like all these cases, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it to me. If you're in that Mini-ITX market, you want something ultra compact, the flexibility, you can stand it up, you can do whatever you want, change the colors, go crazy, make something that's truly unique and truly yours, this is the case for you. So thanks for watching, guys. I will drop links for everything you saw in the description, obviously, as well as links to the LZ7 and overclockers.uk if you want to go ahead and just place your order there. That's for US and UK customers only. For all other people, you head over to the Lazer site and they take your orders there. So it's a little bit different, but if you're US and UK, go to the overclockers link there. And also all the components, I'll drop links to those as well and links to the article on the website also.